was reporting live bullets, live rounds being fired. Is this how to go? The same people that shut this country down for 2 weeks, Jonathan did not go after them like this. A lot of the people that protested Occupy Nigeria morphed into what is the APC today. We saw how they had a series of protests then. Were these not the same people that protested?
Cowards! Cowards! That's the worst they can do! That's the worst they can do! Tear gas! Kill us! They're shooting.
As tyrant President Tinubu of Nigeria, who is also known as Pablo Escobar, also regarded as T-Pain. Most Nigerians call him T-Pain because he has caused them a lot of pain. As he ordered the shooting of tear gas and shooting of live ammunition on protesters of Free Nnamdi Kanu. Popular activist by the name Mama P, she has come out to give us an update, and also Rufai Oseni of Arise TV has also called out the president and exposed him to the world by revealing his antecedent on the role he played against the previous administration, both military and civilian administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. How they protested, they locked down the nation to an extent they even got a casket and put the picture of the dead president. The president didn't go after them. The president didn't order the police to go after them or shoot at them. But today he has turned 360 degree, doing all manners of crime against humanity, against innocent protesters of Nigeria. Please, as you watch this video, wonderful followers of Holy Ghost Home, kindly make this video go viral. Let the world see it and take note of the atrocity of this criminal president Nigerians have. The Lord bless you. In case today is your first time coming across my video, I want to say a big thank you to you for stopping by to watch. This is Holy Ghost Home platform, a platform that tell you all diluted truths.
They are shooting tear gas! They are shooting tear gas! Cowards! Bastards! They are shooting tear gas! Cowards! Cowards! That's the worst they can do! That's the worst they can do! Tear gas! Kill us! They are shooting tear gas! That's the worst they can do! These are cowards! These are cowards! Gas now water! Tear gas now skincare! The Nigerian government needs to be aware that the citizens are no longer scared. They are now aware of our rights, and we will exercise it to the fullest. We cannot be intimidated. We cannot be silenced. We are saying today, October 20, 2025, free Nnamdi Kanu. If you can hold meetings with bandits and so as should be for kidnappers and killers, why are you holding on to Nnamdi Kanu? What do you use the brokers do? Tinubu! What are you doing? No retreat, no surrender. We are not stopping. The goal is a sorrow. We are going there as citizens, not as terrorists. Well, my brother. We are going there to tell the president our mind. And that is no free Nnamdi Kanu. Free Nnamdi Kanu. So the outside guys, the outside for the free Nnamdi Kanu protest. Yes, we have rights to agitate. We have rights to protest. We cannot allow them to silence our voices.
Daily Trust was reporting live bullets, live rounds being fired. Is this how to go? The same people that shut this country down for 2 weeks, Jonathan did not go after them like this. A lot of the people that protested Occupy Nigeria morphed into what is the APC today. We saw how they had a series of protests then. Were these not the same people that protested and put Jonathan's head and call him all sorts of names, Jonathan Haram and everything? Did they stifle their voices this way? So this high-handedness we practice in the name of democracy will not get anywhere.
Let's begin what's trending. As today marks the 5th anniversary of the EndSARS protests and the tragic Lekki killings of October 20, 2020, we pay tribute to victims of SARS and honor the legacy of a movement that captured global attention. The EndSARS protests brought together millions of young Nigerians demanding an end to police brutality and government accountability. The Soros Soke and Coconut Head generation took to the streets in peaceful demonstrations that culminated in the tragic events at Lekki toll gate where protesters were shot at by security forces. Let's bring you a recap.
Our top story at this hour is our central story that is still developing and unfolding tonight. Sounds of gunfire have exploded on the streets in Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos, as troops open fire on protesters there. There are reports of people killed and wounded as the Nigerian authorities move to end increasingly violent protests against police abuses. Riot police have been deployed across the country and a curfew has come into force in several states. We have special coverage tonight as Nigeria witnesses a major escalation after 2 weeks of protests against police brutality. But still, the protesters have remained on the streets.
Look at Lagos, ladies and gentlemen, look at over there. Look at Lagos is on fire. They're blocked everywhere.
Despite video and pictorial evidence, the Nigerian army has denied opening fire and killing peaceful EndSARS protesters at Lekki toll gate in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos. What a somber moment. As we mark this significant milestone, activist Omoyele Showere's move to organize a protest against the detention of the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, around Aso Rock, the National Assembly Complex, Force Headquarters, the Court of Appeal, Eagle Square, and Shehu Shagari Way has been met with reactions. The Nigerian police force over the weekend urged demonstrators to respect a court order restricting protests around key government areas. Police spokesman Benjamin Hundeyin, while acknowledging citizens' rights to peaceful assembly and expression, stated that such rights must be exercised responsibly and within the limits of the law, particularly where public safety, national security, and the rights of other citizens are concerned. I mean, this statement has elicited reactions, and I'll take some posts on X. This is from Obiora, who wrote on X, "With due respect to the Inspector General of Police, the places mentioned in this release, Aso Rock Villa, the National Assembly, the Court of Appeal, Force Headquarters, Eagle Square, and Shehu Shagari Way are not private estates. They belong to the people of Nigeria. The citizens built them, funded them, and ultimately own them. Therefore, the right to peacefully assemble in those places is not a privilege to be granted by the government. It is a constitutional right that must be protected, not suppressed. If we are to speak of court orders, then we must remember that the same judiciary has discharged Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on 2 separate occasions, yet the government continues to detain him in clear defiance of those rulings. Selective obedience to court orders undermines the very foundation of justice and erodes public trust in both the government and law enforcement. Nigerians are not asking for chaos. They're asking for fairness, equity before the law, and accountable governance. A government that has nothing to hide should have no fear of its citizens expressing dissent. Protests are not a threat. They are feedback, a mirror reflecting issues that require urgent attention. It is a sign that all is not well in the land. True leadership listens, not silences. The strength of any democracy lies not in the number of armed officers deployed to suppress voices, but in the courage of those in power to hear uncomfortable truths and act justly. Another ex-user wrote, "This statement from the Nigeria Police Force is a welcome reminder that the rule of law must guide every action in our democracy. Upholding court orders is crucial for maintaining order and preventing chaos. However, it's equally important that law enforcement officers carry out their duties with professionalism, restraint, and respect for the constitutional rights of citizens to peaceful assembly and free expression. Peaceful protest remains a legitimate democratic tool for citizens to express their grievances, provided it is conducted responsibly and within the law. The police must therefore balance firmness and fairness, ensuring that while security and public order are protected, voices of the people are not unjustly silenced. Ultimately, both the citizens and the police share a common responsibility to ensure peace, justice, and respect for the Constitution to prevail in our nation." I believe that's what the ex-user is trying to say. Rufai, we know the EndSARS movement, represented a defining moment for Nigeria's youth, a generation that, leveraged social media and organized this protest that captured international attention. It is quite, glaring at this moment that the rule of law has to prevail in the land. And, I do admire activist Omoyele Showere for actually tying in this protest with the injustice as it seems. Rufai, your comment, and I'll come sit with you.
I mean, it's apt to protest when people have grievances. That's why we have a democracy. Yeah. And that's why I condemn any form of, military government.
Correct.
Because it's a democracy, people can protest. But in a democracy, When people protest and you stifle their voice and you kill them, it makes us get sad and even question if we're practicing democracy. And you see, I'm particularly miffed by the way they've started to stifle protests. Just this morning, what happened? When went out with people to protest, and the next thing, tear gas. Daily Trust was reporting live bullets, live rounds being fired. Is this how to go? The same people that shut this country down for 2 weeks, Jonathan did not go after them like this. A lot of the people that protested Occupy Nigeria morphed into what is the APC today. We saw how they had a series of protests then. Were these not the same people that protested and put Jonathan's head and call him all sorts of names, Jonathan Haram and everything? Did they stifle their voices this way? So this high-handedness we practice in the name of democracy will not get anywhere. You remember the first anniversary after EndSARS, that Femi had to stand tall with the police officer. People were tear gas. Mr. Macaroni was packed up in a bus. People must have a right to protest. What are they protesting for? Nnamdi Kanu. People have talked about a political solution on this one. Because while you talk about Nnamdi Kanu, what he did is unfair, you are also seeing a lot of heinous crimes being perpetrated by bandits, and they're having peace meetings. But in this country, some people have more power over the others. Like I've repeated, they have not said everything Nnamdi Kanu did was good. I disagree with some of most part of his advocacy. But what you cannot deny Nnamdi Kanu, are people not being marginalized in this country? Are people not being killed in this country? So as long as that is happening and you don't have a level of fairness, then you're saying people should not talk? So I keep asking, which kind of democracy do we even practice? When it suits them, they talk. When it doesn't suit them, they go the other way. So please, people should be allowed to protest. Police should be there to protect them. I remember the famous protest when Chuba Okadibo and Buhari went to protest in Kano that they refounded them. That was where Femi Falana went to court and he got that judgment. You shouldn't stifle protest. But what do we see? We see always attempt to stifle protest. What was the need going the way of tear gas canisters and the likes? What was the need? And you see, in any democracy, there must be protest. That's why the Americans are speaking up.
Yes, speaking about
no kings.
Yes.
And we must not have kings in this country. They say they should not go around the people's house. It's the presidential villa, not the people's house. No, in other parts of the world, don't people go to the White House? And the president will even take them on tours. Right. But you can't do it. See this country.
All right. Well, speaking about that, and speaking about stifling protests, you just mentioned no kings. Speaking about protests in the United States, millions of people attended protests over the weekend against President Donald Trump's administration in the second rounds of no kings demonstrations across all 50 states. The widespread rallies aim to broadly reject what organizers describe as Trump's increasingly authoritarian agenda. The protests, which originally began in June, followed sweeping ICE raids and troop deployments in Democrat-led states. The protests come against the backdrop of a federal government shutdown, with GOP lawmakers and the White House in a standoff with Democrats.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Get loud for our democracy. Release. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Get loud for our democracy.
Limbai, look at that. It is reported that about 7 million people participated in the protests. Trump and Republican leaders have labeled the protests as anti-American. However, we saw states like Idaho, a deeply conservative state, turn out dozens of protesters. The scale and organization of these demonstrations reflect deep political divisions in America, with citizens exercising their constitutional rights, even as political leaders debate the legitimacy and impact of mass protests on governance and national unity. You didn't see where they tried to stifle this protest. Across all 50 states, yes, we saw some police out there, but this is their constitutional right. Limbai.
I think this is the key takeaway. Whether you're pro or anti this protest, the takeaway is that it was allowed to happen. It was done so in an orderly way. We get to hear, reports of skirmishes with the law enforcement officials and so forth. And this is in essence what people are saying. People are saying that whether you stand with us or whether you don't agree with our cause, we should still be allowed to express ourselves in a free way and in an orderly and secure way. Now, for me, what's happening in America is something that I've drawn parallels with Nigeria on several occasions, especially because we exercise the presidential system of governance. And of course, we know what the tension that's currently happening between the center, the federal center, Donald Trump, and opposition states, with regards to security issues, with regards to a number of other ideological differences. And now this is culminating in people coming out to say, well, we feel that this government is becoming increasingly authoritarian, and we disagree with this. Of course, the response from Donald Trump is that, well, all of this is sponsored, it's anti-American, and it's just sponsored to make me look bad. But the takeaway is the fact that the people are allowed to take to the streets and express themselves, whether they are sponsored or not, whether they stand right or not. History will judge them, and history on several occasions has vindicated millions of Americans who have come out to protest in the streets to be able to voice their concerns. Now, the deepest concern in the global south is a phenomenon called hijacking protests that we see. We've seen protests become increasingly violent in a number of places. Now it's almost like it's like a catch-22 situations, because the more you stifle these outings, the more people are going to become aggressive in wanting to come out. What are some examples? You look at Kenya, you look at Nepal, there's several examples that we can look at where protests have turned extremely violent, and that is because there's a huge attempt to try and quell them. There's a huge attempt to try and take away people's rights to protest, and of course the outcome of that is violence. I hear in Abuja a number of people have been arrested this morning. That's besides the tear gas and the bullets that are flying around. And I just say, why can't we just trust our security services to ensure that protesters are kept safe, that they stick to whatever demarcated area has been allotted to them? That's most importantly. And number two, it does not need to degenerate. This narrative of protests being hijacked is an unfortunate one, and it needs to be brought to an end. And it's up to the police to protect protesters so that it doesn't degenerate and it doesn't get hijacked by those other people who have their own agenda.
Well said, Vimbai. And you know that I believe Omoyele Sowore was saying that he hasn't been served any court order at the moment. So, we're waiting to see the developments of the story. And Arise TV will bring you guys up to speed.